coming. Just very, very quickly, because I'm not here to promote At the Core and our MBST machine, but just so that it might apply to some of you. We set up the clinic 2 years ago based around the MBST machine that is over in the corner there. It's a phenomenal piece of equipment, and we use it to treat arthritis, spinal disc problems, osteoporosis, and things like nerves, ligaments, tendons, muscles, all sorts of things. It's phenomenal at taking down inflammation, reducing pain, and it also has like a cell proliferation property, so it stimulates healing of the cells. The results we get on it are incredible, and we basically created this clinic all around that MBST technology. We also have standard physio, sports massage, anti-gravity treadmill, shockwave, so there's various different things that we do. But in addition to that, we had sort of gone down a bit of a nutrition arm, and we wanted to look at anti-inflammatory eating to go alongside the anti-inflammatory effects of the MBST. And then we did an event a few months ago about anti-inflammatory eating, and then we decided that actually it's quite a nice way to give back to the community. So I'm not here to promote that, but I decided that I know so many people in the same boat as me with menopause symptoms, perimenopause symptoms, and I have Claire that I can ask, but from what we learned earlier with some of the ladies that were here, they actually don't have that person that they can lean on and moan at and cry to. So you have an open audience with Claire, GP at Fairfield Park, special interest in the menopause. We've also got Julie, who is a sports therapist, and she did a great session earlier, which you're all going to get to do some little pelvic floor exercises and some breathing exercises for stress management. And then Laura, who I've recently met at a golf networking event. So my life is now golf and menopause. Oh God, I think it's a joke. I went to school with half these girls. It was a joke.
Gathering of them.
I know, so Laura is a dietitian who you've established. You've got a bit of a niche, haven't you, in menopause? So I'll just let you speak for 1 or 2 moments about what you do, and then we'll open up the floor to Claire for questions.
So I'm a registered dietitian, and I think the days of sort of talking about baby weaning are kind of long behind me. And I've just realised that all of the women that I tend to see on a one-to-one basis are, you know, in their 30s, 40s, 50s. My specialism is women's health, and that means that it comes from lots of different angles, and you'll get a sense of my passions and high horses as I do a bit of talking. But yes, it really feels like as women we are juggling so much in our food relationships and our diets, and menopause just, you know, is another way in which we get knocked sideways. So I have recently set up the Menopause Dietitian. It's a really lovely opportunity to bring to the fore the research around nutrition and menopause, of which there is stacks of it and it keeps coming, but also just a nod towards the awesome women in my peer group and the daily struggle and everything that affects what we put in our mouths, basically. So we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Thank you. Julie, do you want to say anything about what you do day to day?
Yes, okay. So I'm Julie. I work at the Lansdowne Clinic privately. So, and I'm I guess you can classify me as a sports therapist, but I have a special interest in clinical massage therapies and manual techniques on soft tissue. My day to day, I work a lot with people that are coming in with what they think they're coming in with is an achial pain, and what we find out is that there's severe or not severe postural dysfunction. So what I like to do is go right back to finding out what the actual core of the problem is. Instead of just glossing over the ache or pain, we try and really establish where that weakness is coming from and try and really rebuild a really good solid foundation. And how it ties in today is I work right from the pelvic floor upwards and downwards, but it all normally starts around that pelvis and the spine, and we look at how to really create a very healthy, functioning, internal muscular system to create a great foundation for our body so that we feel great now, but actually even more important, we're staying fit and healthy for our next part of our life. So that's my main thing, is that I always say to my clients is it's good to be fit and do exercise now, but we must really look at, are we strong enough to see us in the next part? because days gone by, we didn't live this long, so our bodies are not used to this, and we need to make sure that we are always doing the things we need to do. And the one thing that we haven't really given much thought to until now is our pelvic floor. And it's only until it starts failing that we start thinking, oh shoot, what is that? Why is it failing? And is it too late? It's not too late, but I'll talk about that more. So shall we start?
So I am going to open up the questions. What is the menopause?
Oh, that was the same question as
I
know! Okay. So, I knew that was coming. We should not be doing it twice in one day. That's fine. So just so you know, I know lots of the girls from school. I'm Claire, I'm a GP at Fairfield. I work part-time there and part-time at Glasgow University. Do lots of work with menopause management, women's health, student health. I'm a GP trainer, and as most of you will know, I'm Julie's sister, which is why we've been two girls every day. So when we think about menopause, if you break it down, meno is menses, meno is periods, pause is obviously stop. So when your periods stop. But obviously it is a lot more than that, and we talk about the perimenopause, we talk about peri means around the time or around when we use it medically. So this is the big debate now, thanks to our friends Davina and then Lisa Snowden and Marilyn Foster, all being very vocal on all of the social media modalities. And it's become a really big thing, and patients are coming to me, week after week after week after week, saying I've waited, 3 months, 6 months to get this sorted out. And a lot of women have really struggled over the pandemic and haven't been able to access help. So first, a little note about your GPs. I say all GP surgeries probably should have or would have a GP who is more knowledgeable about the menopause than they might be about something else. It's always a good idea to ask your receptionist, who's your menopause one, and they, at Fairfield it'll be me. But most surgeries now are bigger, the smaller surgeries have shut, so most of the reasonable sized surgeries will have a doctor who is more likely than others to be able to sort of help you, and it's worth asking that, particularly because over the years a lot of patients have been sort of sent away with the flea in their ears. So it's really important to do that, and when you go and if you wish to have a conversation with the doctor, do your research. So have a look at the apps. There's a brilliant app called the Balance app by a lady called Louise Newson, who is also known as the Menopause Doctor. She's got a fabulous website. I think you're going to send.
We're going to send.
We'll do a follow-up email. Yeah, we'll do a follow-up email. There is another very good website called Menopause Doctor. There's a website called Women's Health Concerns. So all of these, sort of lots and lots of information on them, but they also give you a kind of symptom checker. And I always say to my patients, have a look at the symptoms, have a look at what you think applies to you. Let's then look at it in a consultation and see what's what. It's really important that we look at the age at which your symptoms begin, because if you're symptomatic under 40 and your periods are stopping or becoming more spread out and you have symptoms that you think could be attributable to the menopause, we need to know about it, because that is a situation where we would do blood tests to confirm it. Generally we don't, and I'll show you why in a sec, but generally we don't. But premature ovarian insufficiency, i.e. under 40 and the 40 to 45-year-old age group, we sort of want to know about as well. It's really important because your estrogen levels are falling too soon. It's really important for your bone health, your cardiovascular health, that we know about that. And so if that's something that is applicable to you or your friends, just give them a nudge, because it's important that we don't ignore that, because if you turn up at 55 and say I haven't had a period since I was 38, that's not good. So that's one thing. Second thing to say is that symptoms are obviously a lot of people will come to me and say loads of symptoms, I must be perimenopausal, and I'll say yes, you probably are, but let's rule out other things. So look at iron deficiency anemia, look at diabetes, look at thyroid problems, because commonly we pick these up in our women, and don't assume that all the symptoms are menopausal without having a chat with your doctor. They probably are, but they need to be looked at.